Alright, for today's lesson we are going to continue ordering numbers, but we're going to add to the list of numbers we're ordering. We've been focusing on integers the last few days, but we're going to add to that list rational numbers. And we defined what those were a few days ago, but we will talk about it in a little bit, just to remind you. So let's review the answers to the do now real quickly. So go ahead and go back to the do now. So the do now had three possible answers from the choices we had here. And notice that we're breaking up our 1 into 4 pieces. So this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. 4/4 is 1. This is 1 and 1/4, 1 and 2/4, and 1 and 3/4. But we also know that 3/4 in decimal is 0.75. And you could prove that if you want to by dividing 4 into 3, and we've learned how to do that. I'm not going to do that now. So our point on the line, of course, is 1 and 3/4. That's why 1.75 is the answer. And if you take the mixed fraction and turn it into improper, 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. That's why the last answer is 7/4. All right, so let's turn the page and see how this is all going to work. So let's refresh our memories on what rational numbers are. So rational numbers are, and you're going to write these in your notes, they are all the positive and negative integers that we've been working with already. So they're part of this group. But it also includes fractions. And terminating and repeating decimals. And you can see we have some examples of each. So these are rational numbers. Here's a nice normal fraction, 1/2. Here's a terminating decimal. It means it just stops. There's no other numbers past the decimal or beyond that number. And then repeating decimals are okay as well, when you just have the same number repeating. A non-example of a rational number would be what we called irrational, and that's when the decimal doesn't repeat, but it goes on forever and ever. And we also talked about this is the decimal equivalent of pi, which you may be familiar with. All right, so let's take a look at a couple examples. We're going to be focusing mainly on fractions today, but here's a couple of decimal problems that I think we should at least take a look at. So we're going to plot 0.4 and 0.75. So I'm going to estimate where the middle is, and of course the middle is 0.5, and 0.4 I know is going to be below 0.5, right, because 4 is less than 5. So for the moment now I'm just going to estimate where that is, okay. 0.75 is going to be halfway between 0.5 and 1. And again, these are just estimates about where these would be. We're going to focus mostly on fractions today. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. On the number line below, plot these points. So if our denominator is 4, that's our clue on how many pieces to divide up one segment is. So what I mean by that is I'm going to take the segment from 0 to 1 and divide it into 4 equal pieces as best I can. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Of course, this is -1 down here. So 1/4 is going to be here because each of these represents a fourth, so we're going to count up 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and of course 1 you could also say is 4/4. So if we're going to graph 1/4, we're going to put a big dot on there. 3/4 is here. Now I don't see 1/2, but hopefully you recognize that 2/4 is the same as 1/2. Okay. And then this negative 0.25, again, 0.25 is the same as negative 1/4, so that's going to be here. Alright, so again, notice the order. You got to think really carefully on how these numbers work together. Once the denominator is the same, like this, you know the numbers on the top are going up, and that's how you know that they go in this order. Alright, let's take a look at a couple more examples. Go ahead and turn to the next page. Alright, this problem is similar to the warm-up. So we have this point, and we want to figure out which of the questions here below, which of the choices below fit this point. So let's look at a couple of things here. First of all, I need to figure out how many pieces has one section been divided. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that tells me that each piece is 1/6. And then I have 2/6, and I have 3/6, and 4/6, and 5/6, and so on. This is going to be 6/6. Let me make that a little neater. 7/6, 8/6. And we can stop there because that's the point we care about. So, which of these choices correspond to 8/6? Well, the obvious one is C, that is 8/6. And this is improper, so we need to convert it to a mixed fraction, because there's a couple of mixed answers. One is find out which is the right one. How many 6's can go into 8? Well, that's only 1, of course. Multiply by 6. Subtract, I get 2. So that's my remainder. So I have 1 and 2/6. That's one of our choices. But 2/6 can be reduced to 1/3, and that's another one of our choices. Alright? So again, the key is figuring out what your division is for these, and then properly naming those points. Alright, so here's a couple of practice problems. I'm going to do number 1 for you, then I want you to do 2 and 3. So this says partition into 6 equal pieces and label each partition. Well, we kind of did that in the example, right? So I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to cut each half into thirds. And that'll give me 6 pieces. See that? And then I can label each partition. So this is going to be 1/6, and this will be 2/6, and this will be 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and the last one, of course, is 6/6, which is the same as 1. So go ahead and stop the video and do 2 and 3 real quickly, and then come back and check your answer. Alright, check out the answers to 2 and 3, and see if they compare to yours, and see if you can figure out if they're different than yours, where you went wrong. Alright, you can turn to the next page, please. Alright, for these problems, they have already done the partitioning for you. You have to label it. and you can see you have to determine how many pieces there are, and then determine the location of the point on there. So take a look at these examples. This was partitioned into pieces that were 1/6. This was partitioned into pieces that were 1/10. And take a look at the answers and make sure you can understand where these answers came from. And then go ahead and do these bottom two problems. So you can pause the video and work on those, then come back and check to see how you did. All right, go ahead and check out these answers and see if they're the same as yours, and if not, then see if you can figure out where you might have gone wrong. Okay, go ahead and turn to the next page. All right, go ahead and answer all of these questions, 8 through 12. Pause the video and then come back and check out the answers and see how you did. All right, go ahead and check out these answers, and if you have anything that are different than what I have here, see if you can figure out where you went wrong. Ask a neighbor. And once you've done that, you can move on to the next page. All right, for these problems, you have to locate a certain position on the number line. I'm going to do number 1 and 2 for you. Then I'm going to let you do 3, 4, and 5 on your own. So we are looking at the number 1.5. And I need to find that on the number line. So here's 0, here's 1, and each increment is a 1/2 because we've divided 0, between 0 and 1 is divided into halves. So 1 and 1/2 is going to be right there. So I'm going to put a big red dot there to indicate which one that is. All right, 2 4/7. Well, first note that the space between 0 and 1 is divided into 7 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to go 2 4/7, I'm going to go 1 and 2. And then I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get up to 2 4/7. So my mark is going to be there. Let's see if I can make that a little bit darker. Okay. All right, so you should stop the video and do 3, 4, and 5 and come back and check your answers. All right, check out these answers and make sure you got the same ones that I did, and if not, try to figure out where you might have gone wrong. Once you've done that, you can turn to the next page, please. All right, for these problems, you are on your own. Go ahead and do parts A, B, and C. Pause the video, work on these problems, and come back and check your answers. All right, check out these answers and see if you agree with mine. If not, see if you can figure out where you might have gone wrong, talk to a neighbor, and otherwise you can turn to the next page. All right, here's the final. Did we reach our target page? Go ahead and do these problems, pause the video, and then come back and check to see how you did. All right, go ahead and check your answers on this. Again, make sure that you have them correct. If you have any questions about any of this, now is the time you can ask me. And when you're finished with this, go ahead to the next page and do the video assessment. All right, so your job on this is to partition the sections and then locate the points in question 2. So when you finish this sheet, you can turn it in, and you can either begin your homework, or we actually might have an exit card today, so you can be getting ready for that.